Well, hello everyone. This is Kerwin and Brenda Jordan. Welcome to Lifestyles of the Rich in Faith Church, our YouTube channel. And we're in our series called The Good Life. Amen. The Good Life. And last time I gave an introduction to what that is. And I'd like to continue along those lines. This is my second time doing this on YouTube. So those of you who have a lot of experience with YouTube, bear with me because I'm learning how to do this and become more comfortable with doing the video. So today what I'd like to share with you, I'm going to just kind of talk to you about the good life. And in the Bible, it's in Job chapter 36, verse 11. And that particular verse there, specifically it says, "They that obey him shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures." And that's a beautiful, beautiful statement. But the thing is how do we do that? What does that really mean? And today, as I was in prayer and talking to the Lord about it, he said, well, share some things of what you know about what is commonly referred to in the world called faith. Faith. Faith is a very important element to have a personal understanding of what it is. And in the Bible, God clearly talks a lot about faith, but I want to make it even more simpler than that. Sometimes when people mention that term faith, it's always in just a religious kind of connotation or a church setting. But faith is more than just that. What God has really given us is something that he says we are to live by. So my goal today is to try to leave you with something and give you something that's intangible but tangible. So faith is actually a created thing. It's a created intangible, tangible is what I call it. It's an immaterial material that God has gifted us with that we are to use in this life. That's what it is in its simplest format. I call it an intangible, tangible, because we don't see it. Just like the thing of love, hatred, kindness. We don't grab a hold of these things physically, but we experience their essence. We can experience their existence. And so faith is something that is the same thing. So I wrote a few things down, and I want to say this. I want to stay on point because this is very, very important. Faith is an immaterial material and an intangible tangible through which God created for us to live and enjoy the good life. Now, God doesn't need faith personally, okay? He didn't create the world with faith. I know there's a teaching about that, but you have to understand God himself is not subject or under anything that he created in his creation. Everything was done for the creation. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, when it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," well, that one verse means that he created all of the intangible things as well as the tangible, the immaterial as well as the immaterial. In other words, the raw material. Because when you go to verse 2 in Genesis chapter 2, it says that the earth was formless, empty, and darkness, and there was water. But as you read the rest of those verses in Genesis chapter 1, you see how God began to take what he had created and begin to fashion it. So what I'm saying to you is that faith is a certainty that comes within you, that it's your ability to be able to see things, to know of things that you currently don't have or you don't see yourself doing. It allows you to see yourself doing it. It allows you to see yourself having what you don't have. That's what faith is. It is actually a material that we are to use to get what we don't have and to be what we are not, what we haven't become. Okay, so this is why the faith essence, I call it, is so important. Now, Faith, for example, I'm going to give you some ideas to think about. Faith is creative ideas, actions that give good results in life. So, for example, when you think upon things, that's actually your faith at work, depending on what you're thinking about. You know, it's fascinating. Every successful person, usually, if they're successful in business, if they're successful in their finances, if they're successful in their marriage, all of the successful people have this one they have several common threads, I call it, in common. And one of them is that when you try to engage them in conversation about how do they deal with problems, what about the negative things that they go through, how do they respond, how do they get out of it? Well, what I've found out is successful people, they really don't have failures the way unsuccessful people have failures. They don't look at failure as a failure. They look at failure as a life learning experience. See, it's a different. A lot of people sometimes when they see successful people, and this is characteristic of the faith that I'm talking about, they don't give up. They don't quit, they don't give up, and they don't stop. Now, you might hit them. They may look like they're down or they're going through a difficult time, but they use those difficulties in order to go up even higher. That's the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful. And that's really the difference between faith and not having faith. Now, another word to think of in place of the word faith is I want you to think of this word called surety. Surety or certainty. Surety or certainty. That means it's something that you know to be true and so for you. That's what certainty is. Now, having certainty is a state and quality of your inner being. It's how you are. Okay? It's not based on what the outward world looks like at the time. But if you maintain and stay in a state of certainty, then it has an effect on the outside environment in your world. Okay, so faith is like this, or certainty is like this. Certainty allows us to go borrow from the future of anything, any place, any type of achievement we want to attain to, borrow from the future, and then bring it into the present. That's what certainty does. Now, you say, well, how do you do that? Well, I just said, number one way to do that is what do you think upon constantly? This is something you have to do. You have to begin to take an account and be accountable to yourself. Okay? Now, if you're experiencing negative, bad events in your personal life, then this is how you begin to take the upper hand over it and to have those things to change for positive. You see, positive results will never occur with negative actions. Okay? So we, the creation that God made us, remember I said, learn the setup, and this is one of the setups you need to learn, is that certainty is a way that you take control of all the uncertainty that may be around you. Okay, now, our motto is Jesus. Jesus came into an uncertain world. John chapter 1 says that. He came among his own, and they didn't believe him, they didn't receive him, and yet Jesus stood. How did he do that? Okay, what I'm telling you, Jesus had a certainty, faith, okay? He was sure of what he was doing, of who. See, Jesus knew the setup because he created it. That's really why Jesus came. He came as Jesus is actually the physical image, person of the Creator. So his purpose was more than just saving man, that's commonly preached in churches, for his eternal salvation. See, the salvation, quote, the salvation message primarily focuses on a negative lean. It focuses on the negative. In other words, sinners. You preach sinners to get saved, and you get them to feel guilty, and you try to get them to feel bad, and then you force them in accepting Christ. Now, it does work, but it's still a negative approach. It's a negative approach. I believe this. This is what I like to do. And that's why I'm kind of changing my format a little bit. Because, see, God is a positive God. He does not need you and me to get saved in order for him to be happy. Okay? It's all about what it takes for us to get to this place and state of being to be happy. So, for example, faith is up to you. See, life responds to us, not us responding to life. Now, a lot of people do respond to life negatively. Okay, when they have a bad thing happen, they typically will begin acting bad. I know we all do it. I do it too. But I'm bringing it up because if we want to grow and get better and become better, and we want things in our life and around our living to be better, then the only way that's going to ever happen is you and I have to become better. So in other words, if you have a problem right now, which I'm sure everybody listening to me does, the problem is really not the problem. Okay, I want you to hear that statement. The problem is not the problem. What we call the problem is really us. Okay, it's really you and me. I'm putting me in there. So when something occurs that's bad, or it's not good and you would like it to be better, then ask yourself this question. This is what I do. How can I be better at this? How can I, instead of keep repeating the same bad or negative result all the time, you have to start analyzing and say, okay, what is it that I can do myself? Because you're only in control of you, not the other person. Even in a marriage, you may think you are, but really it's up to you to gain the ascendancy and the master of control of your own being. See, in Proverbs, it talks about that a man or a woman who has no self-discipline, and I know that's a very disliked word, self-discipline has no control over their own being, over their own person. Okay, so you see, like I said, one of the keys here, faith allows us, I use the word borrow. The reason why I say that is because you don't really have what it is you want. So you have to ask yourself this question. What is it do I want that I currently don't have in my life? Okay, what is that? What will it take for me to be happy? Is it a new car, new house, new woman, new man? You got to start somewhere, okay? Whatever, or you want to be better. You want to be a better person, physically, mentally, emotionally. What will it take in order to attain to that? Now, once you become very specific and precise on what it is that you want, then it's up to you and I to begin to take the necessary and the required steps to achieve it. And that's really how faith works. Faith, now listen to this, faith is a gifting ability. Remember, I said God created everything. He created both what we see and what we don't see. And faith is a gift from God for us to live by and in order to come to know him in this world, on earth, in this life, in the good life. You can live it every day if you choose to, because it does require our selection. Now, some people believe in having bad days and good days. Now, I personally believe every day can be good. However, there could be bad occurrences within those days, but it doesn't necessarily make the whole day bad, at least for me. Because my attitude is another key word. My attitude toward days and life and living is always on the positive. So faith, or being certain, has elements of being positive. You have to make yourself positive. Don't depend on other people to make you positive. It's up to you to do it. Reading positive material such as God's book, the Bible, that could help you get there. Listening and reading and following other successful people who lift you up, that could help you. But one of the things about living by certainty or living by faith is that it's something that you have to do. Now, in learning how to develop in this thing I call being certain or for sure, you take steps toward your desired goal. Notice I said take steps, not leaps, not trying to walk, not trying to run. When a baby and an infant is born, you notice they pretty much can't do anything other than yell and scream. So in this way of living the good life, you have to learn to take step one. You put one foot in front of the other. If you have a goal or a desire to want to get more fit physically or lose weight, or I have a goal personally where I want to develop my abs. I want to have a washboard stomach. I want to have six-pack abs at my age. I'm in my 60s. Okay? Now, that's good to say that with all my mouth. That's good to tell people, and that's good to think about it. But until I do something physically, it'll never happen. So I have to begin to change how I eat. I have to begin to exercise. And I have to think differently about my body. Okay? So it is in other areas of life. Unless you want, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this, but one of the things that I've learned in life is everybody has needs. Everybody needs something. Everybody need this, need that, but not everyone wants it. So, as I close, I'm going to leave you with this. Unless your want becomes, the desire of your want has to become greater than the desire of your need. The desire of your wants have to become greater than the desire of your need in order to achieve. So I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. I know I gave you a lot, but that was the purpose of this second video. And if you like what you're hearing and would like to hear more of what I've got to share, because I got a whole lot more I'm going to be giving, just subscribe to the channel. And when we put these videos up there, you'll be notified. And we just want to pray for you now. Lord, I thank you for all the viewing audience now. As Brenda and I begin to endeavor to expand our influence to people of the good life that you've given us, that we can share with others, that they too, for all who truly want it, will desire with all their heart, and that you'll help them, Lord, in every step of the way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. God bless you.